Welcome to This I Loves video, the basics. If you've been following my blog, today I'm going to do a short video on the 3 basic tools you need if you are just beginning your jewelry making journey. Now I posted the side cutters, your round nose pliers, and your flat chain link pliers. So we'll start with your side cutters first. If you look right here, you'll see how you have a flat side and how this side in here goes angled. You always want to cut with the flat side to your work. And I've got a little thing I've been messing around with, part of my design. Anytime I'm not going to cut this, but you can see the difference between cutting with the flush and then cutting angled. Your side cutters, you do not want to use when cutting your memory wire. Why? Because it will make them dull. If you can see close enough, I'm not sure you can see that or not, but they're rigid. You'll end up with odd cuttings in your wire using dulled wire cutters. However, I do keep these around. This is what I use as a standard, just kind of a cheap tool if I need to cut some wire real quick. A memory wire, you know, all your edges are going to be folded in, so it really doesn't matter. Eventually it will get hard to cut, and that's when you want to replace them, or just go ahead and get a memory wire cutting tool. And yes, they do make a tool for just about everything you need. Alright, so your cutters you're going to use primarily for your stringing wire. And just an example, quick snip and you're done. Head pins and eye pins. Use a lot of this for beading. I use a lot when making my earrings, and you can see the tips. So what I'm going to do with here, I'm going to use the flat side closest to the ball tip, and we're going to cut straight up. Aluminum wire. I use this a lot when wiring, wire wrapping, filigree stuff. It's really easy. Cut straight through too. And as you can see, when I cut these off, you got wire spooling everywhere. So when you do use these, you can choose to use eye protection, or usually what I do is I will take a small piece, if I'm cutting like this, set where I want to go, and just hold it in my hand. Keeps everything in place. Make sure you don't have little ones or little animals around when you're doing it, because we would hate for that to go in somebody's eye. Alright, so again, these are your side cutters. Next, we had our round nose pliers. These are mainly used when making jump rings, chaining. You can use them to make jump rings. However, as you can see, it's real thicker at the bottom and goes into a narrow end at the top. So there is a mandrel you can use to make a lot of jump rings at one time, the same size. Wonder why I have markings on these is whenever I do a work such as my wire wrapping, you always want to make sure that you get the same consistency throughout. So that's what the markings are for. They're there to help me mark my work. So if I come down here, you just want to make sure you are wrapping around the same marking you're getting the same size loop every time. Consistency you really need in your jewelry making process. And that's pretty much what I use my round nose for. You will figure out different methods to use. You'll figure out different techniques you can use that you will need those. But for beginners, basics, what we're going to be doing, basic round nose, wire folding, wrapping. And last but not least, you have your chain flat nose pliers. You can see how they come up narrow, and that's what I was saying about using your husband's or boyfriend's needle noses. You really want to get a set of the pliers made for your jewelry making, because one thing their needle nose, your standard tools, mechanics tool needle nose pliers has are ridges, and that's what you do not want. You do not want to put ridges into your metal work. So inside of it needs to be flat. You want it flat and smooth, because you will be using these. I use these a lot to hold. You can use them to hold your beads. Now they do make some that do have ridges in them, and they are good for holding your beads too. That way your beads won't go. You just got to be careful not to press too hard on them. I use these wrapping. Let's see if we can get an idea. So ta-da. So these three tools, these are the three basic tools you need to start making your own jewelry. And eventually you'll go in and get other tools that make life a lot easier. Me, I just had to do it. Like I said, it started years ago. This is what I started with. Like I said again, cheap set of side cutters you can use temporarily to cut your memory wire and your other hard wires. But they will dull out and they will ridge, and it's not something you want to use to cut your wrapping wire and stuff with, or make your jump rings. And that will conclude today's The Basics Tool Edition of This I Love.